It's been a little over a month since the Nintendo Switch has come out, and I'm really excited for the future of this console. We seem to have a fair amount of good games coming up, and though a lot of them are pretty spread out and not really all that soon, I decided that I'd make a list of 5 games that I'm anticipating for the Nintendo Switch. So, let's just get into it right away. Secret of Mana was one of my favorite games for the Super Nintendo, and now they are putting the first 3 games in the series on Nintendo Switch. Originally kinda teased as a video on Twitter with the developers playing Seiken Densetsu 3, now we know that it is a real thing, where it was originally thought to be Virtual Console. This is Seiken Densetsu Collection, which will include the original Seiken Densetsu Final Fantasy Gaiden, or Final Fantasy Adventure in North America, or just Mystic Quest if you're a European. And it'll also include Secret of Mana, and Secret of Mana 2, or Seiken Densetsu 3. Seiken Densetsu 3 was never released outside of Japan, and a lot of people have played this game through an English patch, and now I think this would be a good time for Square to release it outside of Japan. Chances are it's not going to happen. The only confirmation we have of this game is a Japanese release, and that is June 1st of this year. And I'm really excited for it because I just love these games. I've played the crap out of Secret of Mana. I played the first Final Fantasy Adventure a lot when I was younger, and I played through Secret of Mana 2 a couple times, one by myself and one with a friend. And I'm really excited to see how they improve this. I would like to see online multiplayer for the games, because Seiken Densetsu 2 and 3 did have multiplayer, and they already confirmed that it will support 3-player multiplayer, so I'm excited for that. Whether or not we get an international release is unknown, because of Seiken Densetsu 3 never being released in English to begin with, but regardless, I'm going to be buying the Japanese version, so Square's going to be getting my money anyway. The only game on this list that's really close to being released, I'm really excited for Puyo Puyo Tetris. I know this game has been on several consoles before the Switch, but this will be the first time it's released in English, and that's a pretty big deal. This is just one of those games that I want people to be aware of. It's a really fun game. The Puyo Puyo series in general is really fun and a really addicting puzzle game. Plus it goes into with Tetris, which is one of the most addicting puzzle games across the entire world. And so I just want people to play this game. It's really fun. It's, like I said, it's really addicting. And I can't wait to see if Sega actually goes through and releases more of these games outside of Japan, because I feel like the market is at least somewhat sizable outside. There is a pretty big fan base for the series in America and Europe, but Sega has gone and ignored most of them, and I don't know why. So I'm really excited to see Puyo Puyo Tetris on Switch, despite the fact that I could play it on pretty much anything else I own. I'm just excited for the game to be available worldwide, and so this game can be reached by more audiences. There has been some controversy regarding Sega's restrictions on uploading or streaming the game. However, I just want to inform people that have seen that does not reflect the North American or European version of the game. All of the restrictions only apply to the Japanese version of the game, for some reason. Sega of America recently stated that the restrictions do not apply to any version outside of Japan, so you can go ahead and stream the game or upload the game in any way you want. But the original restrictions made it so you could only upload or stream it to a site that could handle copyright, which both YouTube and Twitch do, and those are the most common sites for uploading and streaming. And then they restricted the uploading or streaming of the story mode in the game. And yes, a puzzle game does have a story mode, but that's not really a big deal. It's only for the Japanese version, and I've seen a lot of people complain about that, saying they're pulling an Atlas with what Atlas did with Persona 5, but it's not a big deal, because it just doesn't affect the version almost anyone's going to be playing at this point. I get real excited when Nintendo releases a new IP. Usually means they're trying something brand new, like what they did with Splatoon, and seeing ARMS got me really excited. I am, however, a little cautious about how in-depth the game will be, as I did end up buying Pokken because I thought the game was going to be really robust and everything, and then I found out that it just kind of boiled down to rock, paper, scissors, and it kind of disappointed me a bit, and I hope ARMS doesn't fall into that same kind of territory. I hope that it actually has some depth to it. They claim that it does, but the developers of Pokken also said that game had some serious depth, and I just don't see that. I'm real excited to see how fluid the Joy-Cons are when it comes to using like the motion with it. I haven't really used the Joy-Con separately myself. All my Switch games I play using the Pro Controller, and I'm actually going to make a real effort to play ARMS using the Joy-Con separately, despite the fact that you can still use the Pro Controller and play it. The only thing that worries me is we're really close to what should be considered spring, and we still have yet to really get any release date regarding the game. I know it's probably going to be within the next month or two, and they're probably just going to surprise us with its release date, but it seems a little too close to not be saying anything about it. Chances are it may get delayed to the summer or anything. I'm curious as to what other game modes the game is going to have. Like if it's going to have its own story mode, or if it's going to have an online like ranked mode or something like that. You may end up seeing some videos of that game from me along with Puyo Puyo Tetris, as I'm just wanting to play these games online, play with people, and it's definitely something I could see myself sinking a lot of time into when I'm not playing other games. If you've been subscribed to my channel or even looked at any other video that exists on this channel, you'll know why this is on the list. Splatoon 2 is something that I've been looking forward to ever since we had that little small teaser of it back at the Nintendo Switch reveal. And I'm really excited for this game just because I want to be able to relive playing the game for the first time again. And I'm also excited for basically everything from the first game to be gone. I just can't wait to play with none of the specials from the first game, none of the kits from the first game. Some maps are going to be returning, we know that, but I'm fine with them as long as they get redesigned in a significant way. I'm just excited to play through this game again and to just relive that, having the experience, I guess. I just look forward to it, and I want to see all the things that'll happen with this game. I want to learn all the new stuff, as I did put a lot of time into the first game. Like it's at 4,000 hours that I played the first one, and I've done a lot when it comes to messing around with the game's data. So I'm very curious as to see what all there is to Splatoon 2. We still don't have a release date for the game, however, I do believe it'll launch sometime in May, just because it would be a pretty nice idea for them to release it 2 years after the first game, and the first game did come out in late May. Now, despite people saying that it's listed as a summer game, the first one is also a summer game, so that argument's kind of invalid. I'm just really curious to see what all they put in the sequel to make up for everything that was in the first one, and to just make use of more memory that the system has and more things they can do. One thing I'm a little worried about is them repeating what they did with the first game's launch, where it was sort of stunted, and I know it wasn't exactly their fault. However, I hope that they don't make the launch very weak just to keep it like the first game. However, regardless of how the launch is, I'm just excited to be able to play this game because I am honestly ready to move on from the first game. Surprise, Splatoon 2 isn't number 1, but in fact the number 1 on this list is in fact Super Mario Odyssey. And the reason for this is I've been looking forward to a new Mario game that isn't linear for so long. I've been playing games like Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine for the longest time, and I go back and replay Super Mario Sunshine a lot. Wasn't too big of a fan of Super Mario 64, but I just love how open those games were compared to the more modern Mario games, where for the most part they are pretty linear. Super Mario 3D World was pretty linear, where it's just one end goal. Super Mario 3D Land was linear, and despite the open world feel of the Super Mario Galaxy games, it just still boiled down to the fact that you had one end goal objective in every level, and you had to revisit the level several times to reach a different end goal. Where with Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, you could go into a level and collect any different star or shine in the level. Maybe not any, because some were restricted to certain parts of the level, or if you had to come back later on. But from what we have been told, Super Mario Odyssey is in fact going back to the formula of Super Mario 64 and Sunshine, where in fact it is open. You go into an area and you can just do whatever. You have a goal, however you are not tied to the goal like you are with these more recent ones where it's just linear. The game also looks great, and I'm really curious as to how things with the new hat will function. It seems like it's going to have various purposes, however, I think the only thing we've seen of it is it can be used as a projectile, and you can also use it as a makeshift platform to jump off of. And I'm very interested to see where they go with that, and what the point of the hat itself is. Now, apparently, the people behind the game have stated in an interview that the game is in fact finished, but they can't release it yet. Nintendo is holding off on it till the holiday, and that's a little disappointing, but I can understand why they would want to do that. They want to have a big game for the holiday season, something that will drive sales for the system, and they might not have the ability to provide as many systems as they want right now. We already know there's a serious problem when it comes to obtaining a Nintendo Switch, and they might be working on trying to fix that by the holiday season. But if they don't do that, then it seems like Mario Odyssey is going to have a bit of a problem where it's going to launch and it's only going to be available for the people that manage to get the console up into that. They might try and do a thing where they bundle a game. I don't know. I just hope that they approach this in a smart way and try to make the console more available by the time this big release comes. But yeah, I can't wait to finally have my hands on another open Mario. I did enjoy 3D World and 3D Land and all the Galaxy games. However, I did vastly enjoy Super Mario 64 and Sunshine more, just for the exploration and the freedom you had to do whatever you wanted to in the levels, and you weren't on this set path. And I can understand why they would go the route they did to make it more streamlined and easier for people outside of like the people that played it before. I just can't wait to get back to that, and I can't wait to just roam around these worlds forever and eventually get to the objective. But basically, my nostalgia for Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine and the open freedom that those games offered is why Super Mario Odyssey is my most anticipated Nintendo Switch game. And that was my top 5 most anticipated Nintendo Switch games. I kept the ones that have been confirmed, though there are some games that I'd like to see on the system, or ones that haven't been officially confirmed, but speculated to be on the Switch. So, I hope everyone enjoyed this list, and if you have some games that you are anticipating, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd like to know. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.